Doing Time with Deputy Mike.
Hi, welcome back to Doing Time with Deputy Mike. I'm your host, Mike. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about Bigfoot. Is he real or is he fiction?
Yes.
But before we move on, I do have a special shout out. My sergeant's actually here in the TriCaster room. Great guy, Sergeant Carr. Known him for a long, long time from when he was in Vienna and I was in Fowler. So thank you for showing up. Let's move on to roll call. Grab your feet and take a seat. It's roll call time.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Mr. Barry. I am in work-based learning and career development at TCTC.
Hi, I'm Nathan Fowler. I'm a senior in the pre-nursing phlebotomy program.
Hi, I'm Aiden, a senior in the Welding program.
And I am Mr. P, across the hallway from Multimedia in Web and App Development.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're all here. So let's move on into interrogation.
Interrogation time.
So, Bigfoot. Well, Mike, I'll let you go off first because Mike brought us some pictures that just are actually fresh.
They're fresh off the press.
Yeah.
And they weren't meant to be, honestly. The other day, I think they've been on my phone for probably a month now. But I went outside, and I want to say it was a Friday, not even
Friday.
on the weekend. It was on a Friday. And I noticed on the side of the house from the night before when I walked, there was nothing abnormal. And when I woke up in the morning, like I usually do, go check things out, we were off of school that day. So I wanted to go in the woods and walk around like I always do. And I noticed a couple weird things in the yard. So I started piecing it together. I'm like, there's squirrels or something digging in the yard. And I noticed there was a pattern. And I started thinking, wait a minute here. There's the same distance in between all the digs or the footprints or whatever they are. So I went and got a measuring device, and sure enough, they were about 7 feet exact from one spot to the next. Then I started really getting curious and looking down, at each one of them, and we have pictures, I think, to show you guys. But yeah, there they are up on the screen. So I started looking at each one, and I'm like, okay, so now it's starting to look like a pattern of left, then right, then left, then right, every 7 feet. So out of curiosity, I'm like, okay, how far does it go? Does it go all the way to the back of the yard, or does it stop only at these 3 or 4 in the yard? And so I walked a little bit towards the back of the property and noticed the same thing. There's exactly a pattern, so it can't be like squirrels or something digging in the yard. It has to be something that was either moving fast or, can a deer do that? Does it hop and make those kind of marks? I'm not sure. So I took pictures and brought them in for the expert, Deputy Mike, to have a look at. And I don't know if we've come up with a conclusion, but that's where I'm at right now.
So, well, I did look at, and it's hard to see up on the screen, but on this phone, well, you can actually see that one is in the shape of the first one to the far, yeah. So for all you that are just listening, we're looking at the pictures that he took of the foot, or what looks like
whatever it was, yeah,
footprints in this thing. But for those of you new to the program, this whole thing, actually, the Bigfoot thing, is how I kind of got my start. Because for those of you that don't know, it was a real Bigfoot thing that came through the valley, actually to your property.
Yeah, that's the strange part,
So they were legit professional Bigfoot hunters. And then our students from this class actually helped produce that show, which was pretty cool. And I just come stumbling in one day, and Mr. Duran was telling me about all the Bigfoot stuff. But that's when I told him, I like Bigfoot, but I'm into ghost. So
Yeah.
there it was.
So, strange as it started, I bought the house. I didn't realize Bigfoot was my neighbor. And I go over there to cut the grass, and there's like this guy with a trailer from California. And he said he was notified by somebody who had a picture that was taken on Route 11 right near Girard Lake, the properties. And he said that it was so intriguing that he drove his car 2,000 and some miles with his crew and a big trailer on the back to that property to investigate. And I mean, I could get in. We could do a whole story on exactly the findings from that episode of my life.
Well, did they come up with anything?
They concluded that there was something that came through based on the pictures and what they found in the woods. And they are if you ask them how they came out, with their findings, they would tell you it was a migration. So they believe that it was southern to northern Michigan is the route, based on calls and based on what people have shown in pictures and evidence or whatever. There's a pattern. They have a map, and they put these patterns on timestamps and on when it happened and the evidence that they give. And sure enough, you see the migration, and that's what they call it, is a migration.
Well, yeah,
Of Bigfoot.
yes.
Of Bigfoot, yes.
Well, they've noticed actually the pattern with the whole country is that it seems to be a migration from east and west and back again, or towards the north.
Yes.
And they can pretty much pinpoint the years and months, like where they may be, which is pretty interesting, actually. I never knew that. But
And they don't like to reveal a lot of that stuff. So they had the Navy do the investigation on the photo that was, for them to drive that far. So the Navy, they had to pay them $500 to do a photo, to make sure it was a real photo. And it was convincing enough for them to want to come here. And it was one of those, he showed me on his phone, and it put it this way. There was more than one. There was a family, and they were down in the creek. He wouldn't let me take a picture of his phone, obviously. And it was only for him to show and nobody to share with.
so, okay, let's get some thoughts about all this.
So why? So if people are believers and they want to prove that Bigfoot's real, why the secrecy? Why wouldn't he let you spread the word? Why wouldn't he let you take the pictures?
Great question, and I said the same thing, and I'll tell you exactly why. There's $1 million bounty that he's willing to pay somebody with a live or dead body catch of Bigfoot. And he has the backers, and it's gotten to the point where you read in the news, I watched it, a few years back, a police officer got in trouble by doing what he did. He pretty much froze a bunch of animal parts.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
freezer.
I remember that.
Yes.
It was a fake deal. He collected a bounty.
Passing it off.
Yeah, well, he collected the bounty on it.
I remember that story.
I do too.
That was a big deal. Well, here, this is the same guy. So he's like, I have $1 million bounty, and you prove to me that, we want to see Bigfoot. We want to see a carcass. We want to see however. So he's not going to share any information for somebody to get $1 million.
Right. Okay.
Makes sense.
That's fair.
Well, I do know this. Because everyone's like, where's the bones? Where's this? Where's that? Well, if you start watching and paying attention, they've actually found numerous times DNA of an unknown primate from some of these locations. They found the poo.
Yeah.
Same thing where they've tested it. They found hair samples, footprints, and that's a whole science in itself. Determine if it's a real print or if it's made somebody running around with wooden feet. I guess you could say, or whatever nowadays. Today you could pretty much make a mold of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
It would be pretty easy to To mimic something.
Mimic
or
something.
Make a false
Yes.
footprint. Yeah, for sure.
So I was like Nate. I was, just curious, and why are these people in my yard, and so, like, what is going on? So I ended up letting them stay in my house that I wasn't even living in yet. They were sleeping on my carpet, no furniture in there, and we invited the kids from the school to come over. And sure enough, they had this one footprint. It was a casting that they found. They sold the original casting to the Smithsonian Institute. It's in the Smithsonian if you go there. $30,000 they got for it. And he said that there's hair samples from this original casting that are not of any type of hair found or discovered to this point. They do not know the DNA from it. So that's why they paid such a large amount, the Smithsonian did. And he had I should probably share that as well. I did take pictures of the casting, of the students holding the casting. So, and I have the pictures of the whole, hunt that we did and so on. So, but yeah, you guys would have liked that year.
Well, Nathan, let's hear what do you think?
I mean, he's probably real. I mean, he's the world's biggest winner of hide and seek. I'd say.
That he is. Yeah. He's the king of hide and seek. But we're growing and we're infringing more and more on. There's becoming less and less. Like my house where I live, they tore out acres of woods to build more farmland, which kind of made me mad because I like the woods.
Sure.
And I will say this because I'm not too far from where he's at. I'm actually north of him, but a few years back, and this was almost a yearly thing around October. It's when we started noticing it. Like when we got home from from my son's football game, and we'd have a fire in the backyard. And then I live like roughly on 5.5 acres, and then I got nothing but field all the way back to the woods. But around 1:30, we start hearing this. I don't know what it is. I can't even explain it. But you would hear like something super loud, like a call,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, like not even a minute later, you'll hear something way off in the distance to the north, almost sounding like the same thing. And so we told some people about this, and then one buddy, he's like, was teasing me. Well, then the one night Ed stopped in, and it was just him, me, and Zach sitting around the fire, and it was about that time, and all of a sudden this thing, he's like, what was that? I said, well, Zach and I were like, well, that's what we've been trying to tell you. You tell us. And the thing is, I've camped. I was a big camper. I've done this for more years than what I want to say on this show. I mean, and patrolling like Sergeant Carr in there. I mean, he's working midnights. When you work midnights, you come across all kinds of crazy stuff. And you do. And I can say this: I have never in my lifetime have heard that sound in the night. I mean, I know owls, foxes, coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
We have bobcat. We have deer, and
That's same in my backyard.
Crazy cows and horses, but I've never heard that before. So go ahead. I know we got I think 3 believers and 2 naysayers.
So, I think it wouldn't be surprising if there was Bigfoot out there, but you got to be honest, it's unbelievable. It sounds like some story you'd tell your kids to keep them inside at night.
Well, that's true. But here's the thing, and this is why I start swaying more and more, because history is a big thing, and I keep telling everybody in this school, you got to really learn your history, because history will teach you a lot of things, and not just in the books. But if you start looking at Indian culture, and you go all the way back, you could follow this from the East Coast to the West Coast. They all have a big, hairy monster, man, whatever they want to call it. Like, they all talk about it.
Yep.
There's tribes, I know, like, I don't know the name of the tribe. It's like right down at the bottom of North Carolina, Carolina, West Virginia, that like
Okay.
Tennessee area, but there are stories from that tribe where they had wars with it. And there's other stories where these tribes actually gone to war with these things, fighting over food, or they would come in and like literally steal the people, like mostly children or the women. And that, I mean, so I can't dismiss that. I mean, okay, you got all these cultures, and this is before any of this, so why are they talking about this? And I'm talking like going back to the 1800s or more, like, you know.
Yeah.
We had a president that took off how many, almost a year, and he was a president and went hunting for Bigfoot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's these sightings, there's the footprints and everything that show like, okay, this probably could be true. But with how things are now, we can replicate so many different things to make it look
this
true.
This is true. And you got to be careful. Because there was like, we were talking about the one picture.
Right.
And there's a picture which I was trying to find, put up here. But it looks like it's like an 1800, you know, somewhere in there.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white. And I think, I want to say, was it like, I forget how many guys.
There was a couple like lumberjacks like in the woods cutting, you know, you could tell they're out in the middle of nowhere. And the picture shows them posing with
this. Actually, he's bigger than what they've ever said. I think he looks more like he's 18 foot tall. Ape man. I mean,
well, they found him laying dead, correct? Like he was, wasn't he like?
I think that one was dead. Yes,
that one was dead, and
supposedly
they
dead.
posed with him.
Yeah.
You know, like to show the size or whatever.
Right.
So,
but now, you know, here's what I'm wondering, and a lot of people are saying they're extremely smart. They're smart like us. They maybe, you know, there's all kinds of theories where maybe they were like more of the K-man. They kind of evolved, but not like we did. There's the theory that it's part of the gigantic Pithecus, which also was the same time period that we started popping up on the scene. I mean, there's all these theories, which, I mean, who knows? And the thing is, now, and you brought a good point up, we have more and more cameras. We got cameras everywhere. Everyone's walking around with a camera.
Right.
You got drones.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I think we're seeing more of these because people are literally just out and about. Like, there's one that I do want to point out. And this one, I don't know which state. I can't remember if it's Colorado, Washington. It's somewhere, one of the western, in the Rockies. And they have these things called land bridges that go over these highways.
right.
So the animals can safely go across. Well, apparently they monitor these things, and they're in the middle of nowhere. And they caught, in the middle of the night, this big, hairy man
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, no flashlight, cruising across that bridge, like that landmass. It's like, why would somebody be way up in that mountains where there's nothing there?
Yep.
And I mean, and that's on a government camera. So
I don't know if that makes it more reliable or not.
well, no, I mean, it's supposed to be. I mean,
Right.
That's
you got
fair.
the time and all that stuff, but you know,
But
yeah.
to that point, with all the cameras and drones and more people and invading those spaces, you would think that if this was real, you would have a clearer picture at some point. It's always blurry. It's always, it could be. And there's never a definitive, you know, you got $1 million bounty. You said you go camping all the time. I camp a lot. I go hunting. I'm always in the woods. I've never seen anything.
No, I haven't
that
either.
would
That's
resemble.
something, truthfully, I don't want to come across.
And
That's fair.
with how advanced cameras are now, why are all the
Well, that's not true, because we are getting more and more pictures. There was one just recently. Well, actually, we got a couple from the Salt Fork, which is down in southern Ohio,
Yeah.
where I used to live by. And one was caught on a drone. But here's the thing. All right, so, and this is, I mean, you sit there and you look at it. We weren't there and we don't know. So how do we know this isn't some guy in a big monkey suit or whatever? I mean, because you don't know. and I'm not going to sit there and say every picture I ever see is true, because I mean we could do anything we want with pictures now,
Yeah.
especially with AIs.
Right.
I mean, an AI can make look like
They can
there's
make
three
human
of them.
images.
Yeah, it can make me skinny again.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So, well,
But they're not making the tracks in his yard.
no, they're not.
And
They're
I
not.
respect Mr. P, so
And honestly,
piques my interest.
I feel like I'm just stuck where I am because I bought the house. I don't know what's going on. I'm just recording what I see. That's it. So for it to happen, as weird as it does, I have to tell somebody. You know what I mean? So like, it's just the weirdest thing you've ever like come across, and I just happen to be stuck in the middle. It's kind of neat when the kids came out, when we did invite the class. We went in the woods and we learned how to do the calls, and and it happened to be a full moon. There was a full moon that night.
Of course.
So we had a good time in the woods. We did all the the howling and the calls.
That would
so,
be fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. And then they came in and brought the evidence that they found to the school. I think it was the very next day. We invited them in, and anybody in the school could go see in Lecture Hall B. It was really neat, the findings, and they gave an outlook of what they've been doing and what their career is like being a Bigfoot hunter. So
all right. So we haven't heard much from Nathan. So, what piques your interest, and why do you believe that's probably true?
Why not? There's like plenty of weird things in the ocean that
Yes.
we haven't seen
This
as
is
well.
true.
And there's also like, what if they're blending in? They're just shaving themselves and blending in with these. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there again, that's actually came up. I mean, someone's
Come on.
out of all the theories, somebody tried saying that.
There are some pretty like tall people. I mean,
But they are finding these giant graves. In fact, they just found another one, and it's funny because the
Yeah.
heads look more like an ape head. I don't know. It's just
there were big people in
Yeah.
in existence in the past, and they're uncovering it for sure.
yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, I have another theory, and this is way out there because everybody laughs when I say it. But what if Bigfoot was really from another
Oh, you're going with the space
planet,
one,
spaceship, aliens?
Oh.
and that's
So-
spacesuit.
So think about it. Okay, so aliens drop Bigfoot off, right? Go collect some evidence, get back on the ship, and let's go home. Why can't we find Bigfoot? Because he was here for a short period of time.
But he's actually one thing that I've been saying too, and this happened in Erie, PA. On I don't know what's the little island up there by that little or not peninsula.
Yeah,
There,
where
yeah.
the rides and all. The
60s, 50s. There was I'd have to look, but legitly, not only did they have first a UFO sighting thing there, but it was right after that, Bigfoot popped up. All in
So
I
there
think
you go.
one night. It's like there you go, hey, Bigfoot alien.
He was dropping them
Yeah,
off.
he was
Dropping
dropping
them off
Picking 'em
and
up,
zipping
right.
them back up. Have any of you watched what is that? Bigfoot. What's that called?
it's
Finding
the
Bigfoot.
Finding Bigfoot. Yes,
Expedition.
yes,
It's on Wednesdays nights at
on Discovery.
Discovery at 10.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Watch that.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
You'll have
I've
to
watched
check
it before.
Have you watched it?
I'll have to check.
You
it out,
have to
though.
check that out because it's
It
crazy. It's really crazy.
it shows they're getting close.
Yeah.
Like they have the heat sensor cameras. In the night, if they hear a noise, it'll show the heat from the body. Whatever. So they're on to. They were the last episode. They were on to like a big trail of evidence. So yeah, very good.
They even found they're up in Alaska, and I think they're in part of that triangle where people go
Yep.
missing all the time. But I think it's either a murder site he just found or something. But they actually they cut it off there, of course, where the guy was actually digging out clothing and other stuff, and it's like I'm waiting to hear bones. It's like you got a body, but it's crazy. It really is crazy. And the one lady on that show though is what do you call the scientists that study gorillas? I can't think what they're called.
Gorillologist? I don't know.
You baby.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she's actually one of the world's leading, and she does this for a living. And when they first brought her on, that first thing she said, of course, was she's a non-believer. I mean,
Right.
that it would be hard for her to believe, and I mean, she spent years out in the field with these gorillas and this and that. But now the more that's going on, and the more she's seeing, and the more she's saying, oh yeah, this could sustain a big ape type creature. She's still calling it an ape. The possibilities are arising, and her opinion's changing. And like she said, she goes, she's got a lot to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, credibility wise.
For sure. As a scientist,
Yes.
you want proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm taking some of that in stock because I don't think I would, if I was her, throwing myself out
Right.
there like that, especially on national TV. It's like, well, this lady's a loon, and everything she's ever done is like off the board. Yeah. So I don't know. Anybody got any more thoughts about it? Hair samples or what?
Here's
The hair sample part is crazy. Like, I mean, it would make more sense if there was hair samples that like didn't match anything we'd seen, but it would have to be comparable to our hair samples or to a ape's hair sample.
Well, I'm glad he said that, because they have found, I forget, whatever's in our sample,
Right.
this thing's lacking, and it's lacking what other animals have too. I mean, it's not like animal fur. It's totally different. It's like almost a human hair, but it's lacking
Whatever the
DNA is in it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
here's another interesting story that I wish I saw it here. This was years ago. This is way up in Canada where there's nobody. You have to fly in to get to this place.
Mhm.
But these guys own a cabin, and they go there yearly, fish, hunt, whatever. And they got up there, and grizzlies are known for kicking in doors and tearing up your house, and especially your fridge or freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So they get there, and their door is destroyed.
Right.
And they go in there. The house was kind of torn up, but yet it wasn't. And I think the fridge was kind of ripped apart, but it lacked the claws. And the more they looked at it, it was like some big giant thing just came up and like ripped the door right off the hinges, which a bear, they said, cannot do the way it came off.
The way it came off. Yeah.
So, and then while they were there, they started getting like the rocks being thrown at their cabin, that kind of stuff. So when they were leaving, the one guy's like, well, I'm going to he set a trap for you. He took, I don't know how big nails, they were spiked, like the real
Railroad
sharp
ties?
nails. And it was like a plywood thing, roughly about probably this long and probably about that wide. And they stuck it right in front of the door. And when they got back, months later, they found hair samples, tissue samples, because something stepped on this, and it took chunks of the meat out of its foot. And there you could see a big bloody footprint that looked like a big footprint. Yeah, so of course they sent the samples in. The hair came back. Some of the skin came back like unknown, something like an unknown primate or something.
Yep.
And then some of it was damaged because it sat out in the weather for so long, so they couldn't get a sample off of it. But I found that one interesting.
So one of the most amazing parts about this whole DNA and finding out, what it belonged to and stuff, that's what intrigued me when I read about the hoax. What they did was they took a bunch of different animals and they put it in a zip-up Bigfoot suit, and they froze it in water, and then he sold it for the ransom money. Well, anyways, when they started doing the DNA and everything, they were so good in the lab that they actually were able to say, Part of it was possum. Part of it was raccoon. Part of like they know our DNA. They
Yeah.
know animal
That's
DNA.
pretty wild, yeah.
But when
Yeah.
they can't determine what the sample is at the Smithsonian Institute, that's telling you something. It's
Yeah.
never been on file.
Yeah.
You know.
But guess what? It's time to move on, and it's my favorite time. So, have you guys watched
I've watched a little bit.
Have you watched it at all?
I started when you asked me to be on. I thought I should
All right,
research
so
a little bit.
it's now time for embarrassing moments. I'll start with you, Nathan.
That's embarrassing.
I don't know. I guess the first thing that comes to mind I guess I could talk about is when I was a kid, I believed in the tooth fairy for the longest time. Which, I mean, I don't know why I stopped. I mean, the lady gives you free money when you lose teeth.
Yeah.
But I wanted to lose. I mean, it's been a while since I got paid from her, so I wanted
here?
to lose the tooth. So instead of tying it to a door, I liked to tie them to like Nerf dart bullets and shoot them when I had a loose tooth.
Hey, that's good.
That's a good
That's a
idea.
good one. I
like
never
that.
heard of
Like,
that.
Yeah, I like that.
there it goes.
So I had decided to do like a cool trick shot and shoot it out my window. And I shot it right out and I lost it.
You
So
lost-
I guess, I mean, it's not too embarrassing, but
That's actually funny.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's a good
funny.
story,
That's a good
nonetheless.
story.
I love, yeah, my mom loves to bring that up. I used to
that is a
shoot my
really good
teeth out of my
story.
mouth.
Shoot my teeth out of my mouth.
That's good.
What you got for us?
So, near Girard High School, there's this park called Todd Park. Me and my friends used to spend all of our time down there and everything hanging out. And so one day we decided we were going to try to build a bridge across the creek. And we found a bunch of fallen trees in the woods, brought them over and drug them like all the way over. And so we go to set them across, and we think we got it good. They're all going to stay in place. So I was the poor one that got to be the first person to try to walk across our new bridge.
You were the guinea pig.
Yep. And luckily it was like after rain and everything, the creek was full, not shallow as much. Because when I stepped on, all the logs slipped out from under me, and I fell down right into the creek. And so I'm trying to get up, trying to use the logs to hold on to, and they keep just rolling away from me. So I can't get back up. They had to come in and pull me out of the creek.
Gosh. That's embarrassing.
And you know what? I'm from Girard. I know where that is.
It was like right by the bridge that's already there. So I don't know why we were building a bridge in the first place.
There's already a bridge I can
It's
walk
the bridge
across.
that goes over the creek, yes.
Yep.
To get to the back.
All right.
So my story goes back a ways. I've been racing motorcycles for 50 years now. And one time I wanted to show off in front of my girlfriend while I was racing. And there was a section that comes out of the woods. And I race dirt bikes and quads. So there was a section coming out of the woods that only the spectators can watch from.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody else, they can't go anywhere else on the track. So everyone wants to show off in front of the spectators, when you come out for the whole 10 seconds and then you go back in the woods for another 15 minutes until they can see you again. So I came out of the woods and everybody's standing there, and she was there, and it was her first race. That's why I had to show off, right?
Absolutely.
So it was a simple move, and I flipped right in front of everybody, and I slid, and everybody got by me, and I had to undo my flip and get back on the bike. Now I'm in last place. So just because I wanted to be a hot shot or whatever. So I made a bad mistake at the wrong time, and I went from the beginning to the end of the pack.
Oh, man. Well, I actually got one I'll share. So, on my honeymoon, my wife and I went to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg.
Mm-hmm.
And we were up in the mountains up in Gatlinburg, and there's streams all over the place. But we was in one of the parks and getting photos and stuff. So I had this great idea, because I always wanted, it's like, why can't I ever get one of those cool pictures, like where you see the water like on the rocks, it's all white and all that. So I'm like, I'm going to go out on that big boulder out there. Yeah. So here I go, coming out there, I get on that big boulder, and it was so wet, and off I went. It was like, whoop. Everybody standing there laughing.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, I guess falling maybe is a theme here, but I'll go back to middle school. So it's been a day or two for me as well. But middle school's a tough time, anyways. I'm at a new school, and I had saved up all summer to buy this a 10-speed bicycle. So I get this new bicycle, and I'm riding. My grandfather lived down the road, and I went up and worked with him a lot. So I'm going down our driveway, which is a little bit of a hill, and for some reason, I don't know if I didn't put something together right, if I had to connect something. I don't know what happened. I had no brakes. And so I'm going, and I go right straight across the road and flip over in a ditch. And I'm like, part of me is real happy that I didn't get hit by a car, but I see it. There was a car coming, and so I'm just laying in a ditch hoping this car didn't see me, even though I was like right in front of him.
Oh,
so I'm
flat. He won't see me.
Yeah.
Don't move.
Coast is clear. I go to school on Monday. This was over the weekend, and 2 girls in my class were like, "Hey, did we see you?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know
They were
what
in
you're
the
talking
car.
about." Yeah. So pretty embarrassing.
All right, so let's move on to things to know before we go. I thought I had music. I had music on that last week, didn't I?
Yeah, music
Yeah.
from every segment. We'll just have to talk to the
All right,
producer
yeah.
this week. I don't know.
So, all right, so things to know before you go. I did want to talk. I went to a little haunted house over on Pozega Road. I can't remember the name of it.
Maniacs in the Woods.
Yes, Maniacs in the Woods. If you got little ones, it's a nice little, like, it's not scary to me. It's a nice starter. It's ran by the Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember the ladies talking to the people that was in our group, and I think we're still looking for people that want to volunteer as actors or help out. So if you want to help out, just head over there. I don't know.
I think it's every weekends in October. I have a student, my junior. She's running with her mom a lot, doing promoting and stuff. That's the reason I know about it. And she said all proceeds are, every bit of it's going to the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, we'll have to get a pamphlet, and I'll talk about that again next week. Yeah, we did have another junior, I think. I knew it had to be one of our students because he kept coming up to me and like doing all that. I was like, okay, you're not scaring me.
Right.
Starting to annoy me, but you're not scaring me. But I knew it was. He came up to me on Monday. I was like, I knew it had to be a student.
Right. Well, then the trunk or treat's coming up.
Yes, we
soon.
do have trunk or treats coming up.
I don't know the date for that, though.
The
Is it
26th, right?
26th?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, and that's going to be. What time is that? 5:30. I think 5:30. I haven't wrote that on my
It's on
calendar.
our website, too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is on our website. You can look that up. And that's pretty cool. That's get a nice turnout for
yeah.
that. Yeah. I don't know if you guys came and checked it out.
I came and checked it out last year. It was pretty nice. There's
It
a
is
good
pretty
bit of
nice.
things there to do.
We do got game night with the deputies coming up Thursday, October 12th from 5:30 to 9. You coming?
I come every week.
He
Or every time we do it. But
More than welcome.
Okay.
Bring some games. What kind of games you like playing?
Monopoly.
I know people have been asking for Monopoly.
I'm ready to kick your butt in Rummy again this year.
Oh, okay. I still want retribution for losing a Clue.
You know what's strange is we were talking about chess has really taken off, with these younger kids, and we were talking in my lab. Esports is big and gaming's big, but do you realize how many people do not know what Chinese checkers are?
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of dropped off from like when we grew up.
Yeah, I thought for sure that when they said they wanted to do a checkerboard or something, I said, "What about Chinese checkers?" And they were all just, "What is that?"
They probably thought you were
we had
messing
to-
with them.
Yeah. I said, "No, it's a real thing." You
I
know?
used to love playing Chinese checkers. You know what? I think if I sat down now, I'd have to start reading rules because
Yeah.
it's been so long. In fact, I had, the big thing. It was like a tin,
Yeah,
and all the
10,
marbles were
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in there, and then you just
like octagon shape
Yeah.
or something.
yeah. You know, and there was a lot of kids asking about Monopoly. We got Dungeon Dragons group going now. What else was there?
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, they were playing Magic. I like Clue. They keep beating me up in Clue. So, but I don't know. All right. So let's move on to shout-outs.
It's shout-out time.
Now, Nate, you guys are not limited to one person. I don't know why everybody gets on there and says, hi, and that's it. It's like, what about, you got nobody else in your life? So, you want to give this?
Yeah, last time I kind of got in trouble. I didn't shout out to my wife.
Oh, there it is.
Shout out to the instructors, like, whatever. So my wife, I have 2 daughters here at the school. Ella and Olivia are in exercise science and EIA. And then my son's still at his home school, and my daughter. My oldest is at college in Toledo. So shout out to my family.
There you go. Go ahead.
Shout out to my mom for bringing me my book bag this morning because I forgot that. I don't know.
You got your classmates?
Shout out to my entire classmates.
Your best friend?
Shout out to Maddie. She didn't believe in Bigfoot, but I did.
Yeah. So he made the cut.
She didn't get to be on the show.
No.
Aiden?
I'll give a shout out to Mr. O for letting me come up here for the podcast, and to Deputy DeLuga, because I would not have gotten to know Deputy Mike how I do now if Deputy DeLuga wasn't my scoutmaster and I knew him here already.
That's true. Yeah. So shout out to you, Ray.
So I have to give a shout out to our very first win, our esports team, Smash Brothers. They won last Wednesday. They dominated, actually. It was a 5-1 victory over another school in Ohio. I'm not sure who we played. So that's a big shout out. And we're playing again tomorrow, so it'll be